All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Sunday evening. Another edition of Knicks Weekly, the number one show for the fans, by the fans. CP the Fanchise and Trataros and Alex Trataros on the ones and twos. We haven't done one of these in a while, man, but it's a big week coming up with free agency scheduled to kick off. And we got some quick hit free agency updates for you guys, and plus we will react to the Leon Rose Roommates podcast. Leon Rose joining Jalen and Josh and shedding some light on the process and reacting to the Knicks championship. So we will react to that show as we do here on the number one show for the fans, by the fans. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to the Replay Gang, of course. I got my Replay Gang t-shirt on. And salute to our loyal franchise channel members. Let's get into it. All right, man. It's good. How you feel, man?
Good, bro. You know, it's been a minute since I've seen you, since
I was
we
about to
celebrated.
say, man, I haven't seen you in a while, man.
I'm so used to doing like every single game. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird when I don't see you. But I'm good, man. You know, just enjoying the summer. Did a little yard work today. Cleaned up the grill. Had to get ready for the 4th coming up. So you know what it is, man. How you doing, though? How you been enjoying your days? I see that you went to, a World Cup matchup.
I did, man. I got to my first World Cup matchup, me and the wife. It was very cool, man. Very cool atmosphere. We saw Ghana and Croatia. And went down to Philly for the match, man. It was nice, man. It was a cool atmosphere. I'd never been to a soccer match before. I don't know if you have. You're a rugby guy. I don't know if you're a soccer guy as well. But, never been to a soccer match before. And it was great, man. Croatia won. Obviously, we were going for Croatia. That's where the wife and the family's from. So, we was going for the home team in that respect. But Croatia won 2-1. And I loved it, man. The pageantry and all of that on display. I'm a big fan of that. Obviously being a Knicks fan and you talk about fandom and you talk about passion and stuff like that. I loved it, man. I thought it was very cool. The whole FIFA, corruption aside. I thought they could do a good job of masking all of that, all the bad stuff, and putting it out a good product in front of you. It was nice, man. It was nice stuff.
Oh, man, I'm glad that you had to throw that in there. But I was watching that game. Me, the missus, and my son were all watching Ghana versus Croatia. We had no dog in the race. But I was like, I know who I should be rooting for because, look, you guys are like family to me. So I was like, I'm sure Croatia got out there, got to a good start. Then next thing you know, they had the whole controversy. Did Ghana actually score or whatnot, man?
Did they go off? That was, Yep.
And then they ultimately come back, man, and win. I'll tell you this, though. The last 2 goals, I look away for a second. Ghana scores. I'm like, oh, what happened over there? Then I look away again. Croatia scores. I'm like, come on, man. I'm trying to watch the action.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like iffy with soccer. That's why I don't really watch until I'll watch Champions League. I'll watch the FA Cup, all the big stuff, and then I'll watch World Cup because, like I said, it's a bigger stage. But it was good. I thought the pace was good. They had some good action, some good scoring. We got to see our guy Luka Modric with the corner kick. And Croatia scored. We ended up sitting in the Croatia section.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to our people at SeatGeek for holding us down. So we're in the Croatia section. And, I pulled up in my Giants hat, because I'm in Philly. So obviously, Croatia's colors are red, white, and blue. I donned the red, white, and blue NY joint. You know what I mean? Fly guy. I'm in there fly.
My man came out with the petty.
Yeah, I'm in there fly. You know what I'm saying? And I still got to let the people know what time it is. But shout out to, my fellow G-Men fans that were in the building because the hat got a lot of attention, got a lot of love. And somebody who ended up working at the Link, which, by the way, is a dump. Anyway, Lincoln Financial Field, straight up dump. But anyway, a good, loyal Giants fan who worked there said, hey, man, I saw your hat. Here's an employee discount on your food. How about that?
Hey,
how about
let's
that?
Go.
Getting some love in the city of brotherly love from a Giants fan.
What are the odds, man? What are the odds that's happening? Good God. Good for you, though.
What
Good
are
for
the
you.
odds? Yeah, so that was the highlight of the weekend. Got my first World Cup match in, and we'll look forward to the knockout round. Croatia will play Portugal. You got the USA playing Bosnia and Herzegovina. A lot of good matchups, man. I'm very much looking forward to it. So that was that. Let's get into the Knicks stuff, man. Free agency focus. Free agency kicks off on July 1st, which is Wednesday, Al. So Wednesday, we'll have our free agency show, and we're going to have to see what happens. Is it going to be good news or is it going to be bad news as it relates to one Landry Shamet? No surprise here, but the reports are that he's expected to have a robust free agency market. You're hearing teams such as the Heat, the Lakers, the Pacers, the Spurs, the Phoenix Suns could be after Landry Shamet, a reunion if it's the Phoenix Suns. What do you think, man? He had a great season for us. Super proud of him. Happy for his contributions. Had a great run with us. I think he's a goner, man. What do you think?
I think he's a goner too, man. I just find it hard to believe that we'll be able to retain him and Mitchell Robinson. I mean, as of right now, it's tough to retain Mitch on this team as well. I mean, you just hear what all the reporters are saying just financially. I was watching you and Keith break it down on Friday, and as much as I'd love to see this team go into, surpass the second April, because look, you got a championship winning team. This is the time where you're saying, hey, forget what the CBA says, right? We should be going forward and try to run this thing back for as long as possible, because this is what we've been waiting for 53 years. But I also understand the other side of it is, like, you never know. Nothing's always fully guaranteed, right? And I think the biggest thing is always a player performance and health. Very lucky this year to have a lot of health. Very lucky with some of the player performances, like a Landry Shamet as well. Can lightning strike twice in the same spot? That's kind of where you got to come at it from these things when you're going into that, when you're thinking about, do I want to go into the second apron and just run it back with this same team? But I think Landry's going to be out of here, man. I think I have all the guys that you want to retain. I think Mitch is more important, just because when you look at that center market, good God, man, it is bleak.
Yeah.
And, I don't no. I see people out there on social saying DeAndre Ayton. Absolutely
Please,
not.
are you serious? I've been seeing that. I'm like, I'm gonna delete this comment or I'm gonna block you. Either one.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that seriously.
I'm not taking DeAndre Ayton seriously either, man. I mean, no one is taking. I mean, look, this is the same guy who didn't show up for work because it snowed outside. So, like,
right.
what are we talking about here, man? It snows out here in the Northeast as well. So let's cool our brakes up with that. But I think Mitchell Robinson should be the priority focus. So I think they're going to try to focus all their remaining resources there, because we do see Jose Alvarado is going to return. We know about Mo Diawara as well. Stefan Bondi said there's a likelihood that Jordan Clarkson returns. I think that's very doable too, for another like low minimum contract, just because of where he is at in this stage of his career. So I could see that happening. I think Sham is the odd guy out in this case.
Yeah, he earned the raise. It was phenomenal, man. Just phenomenal. Absolutely gritty. Absolute warrior. We will do the Old Man in 3 reaction to the Shamet podcast. They've been tagging us on socials, collabing with us on their clips. Great interview with him and John Turturro. We'll do that later in the week. But look, you got him on a steal on a vet minimum 2 years in a row. He's a champion now. He helped you win the championship. You're not getting him. He deserves to go out there, get his multi-year deal. He's only, 28? Which is hard to believe. Man. He's only 28. So go get that contract. But I hate to say it, man. I like the guy a lot. But, I mean, if he goes to the Heat, if he goes to the Pacers.
Oh, my God.
I mean, bro, don't make me not like you. Please,
Even
man.
the Spurs, man.
Even the Spurs. Even the Spurs. Who could use the shooting,
Well, the Heat
tough,
are definitely looking at that, though. The Heat, with that roster definitely. Right now, with the uncertainty of Norman Powell, they're looking to add 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sick if I got to see Landry Shamet.
That would be rough, and especially if they come to the Garden on opening night. Like, who you think's going to be the opening night opponent? I've been thinking Celtics, but the way they're trying to pack Jalen Brown's bags, you could probably forget it.
Hey, you never know, man. They might want to. They might, if he does leave, they might want to showcase Jason Tatum and say, "Hey, this is what the guy can do against the reigning NBA champs." Yeah. You never know. I think it could be the Pacers, honestly. I mean, if they're all healthy, starting it back up, why not? Why not, man? There's a whole chatter saying, especially from Pacers nature, they're out there be like, well, you guys didn't have to play us. Ours tooting, man, and we would have came out there and stopped you from getting that chip. You already know, people.
I told you I ran into a Pacers fan in Philly during the Philly series.
Good Lord.
Yeah, they're the Philly series who said the same exact line, verse for verse, bar for bar, accent for accent. So that was a good job by you. And by the way, speaking of Philly, complete side note, when I had the Giants hat on at the World Cup, and I'm walking to go get some brews and whatnot, go get some beers. So obviously, I heard somebody throw out the "Go Birds." I was like, I'll come back for him because I know he's gonna want to throw it out there again. So I went back for the second round of brews, and he's like, "Go Birds," and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "No, go Knicks." And he goes, you got me. I said, yeah, I did get you. That was a little rock, paper, scissors there, buddy. All right? Go Knicks. Now go sit down. You know what I'm saying? That was just it. That's all I had to do.
That's a good comeback.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one, man. I was ready for it, especially, throwing a hat on. I was ready for all the Philly guys, like, whatever. But anyway, on the center market, look, I'm still leaving the light on for a big country reunion. I hope he comes back. He's another one. They're talking about the Lakers could be interested. Could it be the Nets? They're also saying the Lakers have been interested in Jock Landale. We're hearing Nick Richards could be a potential replacement. We just saw that Kevon Looney will not be back with the Pelicans. So at the prospects of losing Mitch, I like the Landale. Like if I had to make a list, I would go Landale, probably Looney, Richards in that order as a potential backup. What do you think? Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac as well. What do you think?
Well, Jonathan Isaac could be last on the list.
Okay.
But so you're going Landale, then you're going Kevon Looney, and then you're going Richards.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Richards first, then Looney, then Landale.
Okay.
I just want to go with the younger center, honestly. I just wanted somebody who, I don't even know how old Jock Landale is, but he doesn't seem like the guy at the 5 position that can give you the same mobility as Mitch. And I know out of all 3 of those guys, no one's going to be able to do that, but I think Nick Richards is the closest thing to it. I'd go with Nick Richards first as the backup big. I would then go to Looney just because of his veteran experience, and if you're just looking for like 15, 20 minutes, I think he can give you that. You'd still have to go out and find somebody just for reinsurance right there because all depends on Huck's development right there. And then Landale would be the last guy I'd go for.
What do you guys think in the chat, man? Center, what do you think? Are we losing Mitch? And if so, what do you guys think about the potential backup options? Talk about Jock Landale. Kevon Looney will be available. You also have Nick Richards, who has been, rumored to be of interest to the Knicks. I wouldn't mind that either, but obviously plan A would be to keep the Block Nest Monster. And like I said in that episode with Keith Smith, I'm not so sure the second apron mandate there by Dolan is a 100% mandate. Like I think if Leon and these guys, can show a plan where they're not knee deep in it, maybe they're skirting it a here or there, I think there could be a pathway if they can get creative to get Mitch back in here. But it also depends on what he has out there. You're like if he's going to go out there and get the mid-level, they might be in over. They might be done. Might be a goner.
I think the thing, and I was looking at the contracts the other day. The thing is that we know we got the guaranteed years for Hart and Cat this upcoming season. It's the year after that, 27-28, where Cat has a player option, Hart has a team option. If I'm Leon and the rest of the company, just thinking of like how do you sell this to Dolan, saying, hey man, let's go into the second apron for 1 year. This upcoming season we can do that. What should be happening right now, and I put this on Twitter, is that there should be closed door conversations with Hart and Cat saying, look guys, we're trying to keep this nucleus here for as long as possible. Best way we can do that is if both of you guys, if we opt out of your contracts and we reshuffle the deck, because Cat, you're going to be making 60-some-odd billion. That's going to be tougher to even get anybody on this team. If you really want to compete for another championship, we're going to need you to take a pay cut. And look, he already said, who was it? He was on was Sharp saying that as long as everyone gets into a room and everyone's on the same page of that. Let's see how open he is to that, but I would hope he would be open to that, because taking 60 for what the salary cap could be then, you're still going to be at a tougher constraint as what you are right now. Same thing with Hart, and the good thing about Hart is that the team has the option. The team can like do whatever they want. To be like, all right, man, we're going to opt out of your contract this year. We're going to give you a little bit of a pay decrease, but we're going to give you a lot more years to be a Knick. How about that? That's how I would reframe that as. You can get still some more money in the long term and have more certainty that you could be here in New York. But I think those are the two things, if you're going to sell the Dolan, if you want to talk about having a plan and how you be able to retain Mitchell Robinson, go into the second apron, and then by doing that, if you are able to say, like, knock down Cat's salary from like 60 to closer to 40, then you could say, hey, Mitch, you'll be making more money the following year, and then so on, and then really help the team be straight moving forward.
Call us up on the KFTV Discord, man. CP and Alex on the ones and twos. Knicks free agency will start on July 1st. And we will find out, or we should find out, where things stand with the orange and blue. Call us up on the KFTV Discord, man. Let us know how you guys are feeling. And, yeah, man, we'll get to it. Al, yesterday marked the 2-week anniversary of the Knicks hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy,
man. Let's go.
Happy anniversary to you, man. Happy anniversary to you. Has it kicked in? Like, how you feeling, man, when you see that, man?
Well, first and foremost, I should agree to you saying, "What's up, champ?" Because we're still all champs, man.
Yes.
We're still all champs.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Man, it's still surreal that the Knicks are NBA champs. But you know what? I really want to be there for opening night and see the banger get the hanging of the banner, man. I feel like that's really gonna when it's really gonna settle in. Seeing the guys get their rings, I think that's when it's really gonna like slap me in the face again. And be like, whoa, we are champs, man.
Yeah.
But it's still a surreal feeling, man. I mean, I'm still watching highlights. I don't know about you, man, but I'm still watching highlights of how this Knicks team did it. Game 4 highlights, Game 5 highlights of Brunson dropping 45. That's still in rotation right now, man.
Bro, I can't get enough. I can't get enough for the highlights. It's still surreal, and I just can't get enough. Like, these guys are the NBA champions, and everybody out there is jockeying for position to figure out how to defeat the New York Knicks. Look at us.
Isn't that a crazy statement?
Yeah, look at us, man. And, I still go back to that night when they clinched it, man, and I cried, bro. I flat out cried. And I'll tell y'all why, man. The reason, it was a number of reasons. Number one, for guys from our era, that Ewing era, we were the what-if era, right? What if Charles Smith made the layup? What if they kept X-Man? What if John Starks didn't crash out in Game 7? What if Riley put Rolando Blackman in and took Starks out? What if Ewing doesn't miss the finger roll? What if they beat the Spurs in 99? What if LeBron comes to the Knicks? The decision, it's right in their backyard. Boys and Girls Club in Connecticut. Everybody says he's coming to the Knicks, and he goes to their dreaded rival, the Miami Heat. What if Melo would have waited and signed with the Knicks in free agency to join Stat, Felton, Gallinari, the whole entire squad, right? It was all of that. What if Katie and Kyrie come when all you're hearing the entire season is that they're getting them? They're getting them. They're getting them. They're coming to New York. They finished with the worst record. They're getting Zion. They're getting Zion. Now, at the time, all of that looked great. But what I'm saying is, we were that generation that was the most snake-bitten of the entire Knick fandom. The OGs of the 70s, they saw the chip. And yes, they went through it with us, but at least they saw the glory days of Clyde and Willis and those guys. But our generation, we were the generation that was most snake-bitten. So all of that coming into play, on top of all the work that we put in at KnicksFanTV, tracking this team's every move for over the last 9 years, I couldn't control it, bro. I broke down. Tears of joy. But I just couldn't control it. Like, it was like all of those things at the buzzer, it's all erased. It's all erased. And now when people speak on the Knicks, it's no longer about, yeah, I love the Knicks, but man, John Starks, I can't rock with the Knicks no more. Yeah, I love the Knicks, and Ewing, man, Ewing, he choked, he this, that. All of that is gone because of Jalen Brunson. And it was just beautiful to watch, bro.
Perfectly said, man. Perfectly said. And you didn't even cover all the what if moments. You could have been like, what if Patrick Ewing doesn't go down, bust his Achilles, and do we still have him to go against the Spurs, right? That's another big one.
LJ got hurt too. If you get Ewing and LJ healthy, do they beat the Spurs?
You could even say, hey, what if Jeremy Lin stayed and we actually, kept him as a young point guard moving forward? Right? Because remember that whole conversation going into that summer. Oh, we're going to keep Lin. We're going to bring in somebody like Steve Nash or Jason Kidd to, groom him, right? We still got Kidd in the end, but it's like there's no Jeremy Lin. There's no, next point guard. There's so many what-if moments, man, that we can keep going through and hoping and wondering. And it's like it's finally erased, as you said. And with it being finally erased, we can just look at this team being champions moving forward. And CP, it doesn't end there. Now we're just champions. It's this team has the potential to get another ring.
Yeah.
We can't not talk about that. That's going to be another conversation this entire season. How do they prep to get back to the same promised land and do it again? You're looking at all these moves at the East that's happening in the East right now, right? Charlotte blowing it up, sending LaMelo out. If Jalen Brown decides to go out west, what does the rest of the Eastern Conference look like? And this is not to say it's going to be easier, but it's dramatically changing then. If you still have Tatum, but it's not that same powerhouse if Jalen leaves, right? So there's just so many moving parts to this whole thing that it's the Knicks could easily run it back because they're the most stable team right now. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And when you look at the contracts, we're talking about having me talk about 27, 28. Even if those guys decide to stay locked into their contracts, that's another 2 more years with the same core that just won the championship with you. And so when you see what you got with Mohamed Diawara potentially coming up, Jose Alvarado, and this team for just how they've been able to just make smart moves on the fringes, how can you not believe that this team could do it again? And then you just see all the praise that Brunson's been getting, being compared to Kobe and stuff like that, man. The guy is a legitimate talent like that. The guy is a legitimate talent like that. He's going out there dropping 45 in a closeout game. And I did listen to that Old Man and the Three with Landry Shamet. And one of the parts that he did talk about was he was talking about against Cleveland, some of the leaners that he was having. It's how is he able to find pockets of space to shoot over Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley? We have that guy, man. We have that guy that legitimately, like Kobe, any other superstar that you talk about, that you legit have a chance to get back and win it again, and that's all you ask for. So I'm happy, man. I'm excited that I'm still elated that man. We won the chip.
You're not sipping, man. Sunday night. Man. What do you got there, man?
I got water, man.
Okay,
I got
water. All right, it's all good, man.
I'll share it to you with the water, man.
No doubt, man. I dipped into the wedding stash, man. Dipped into the wedding stash.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, dipped into the wedding
If I'm going to be honest, my stash is a little low right now.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, that means you've been doing a lot of celebrating, so that's good, man. Cheers.
Well, we're going to re-up for 4th of July, so don't you worry.
Okay. All right, there you go. Yeah, it was all of that, and I also just the team coming together was the team that I had envisioned. Why I said just hold off before we talk about breaking up, before we talking about grading trades, before we talk about any of that. Give the team a chance to show and prove in the playoffs, because behind Brunson, anything is possible. We saw, and I kept naming these teams. We saw nobody thought Indiana was going to get there, and they had a chance to win it. Nobody thought Miami a couple years ago was going to come from the play-in and get there. Anything is possible. And when you have a player like Brunson, you knew Cap was going to do what he needed to do. It was about everybody else. And everybody else came along. Mm-hmm. Cat, the Hawks series, broke out. OG, Hawks series, broke out. Mikal came along in the Philly series, in the Cavs series. Everything came into play behind Jalen. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, Mike Brown and his coaching adjustments, a lot of it. But, this was the team playing at its best that we didn't see at all during the regular season, but I still had the conviction. I still felt like they were capable of getting to that upper level. You just had to give them a chance, and they did.
Yeah, it was all about giving them a chance, and even the biggest change is seeing what Mike Brown could do for this season, because I felt like if it was Tibbs again, it would just been the same ending. Because I think when you hear, I know we're going to get to talk about the Leon Rose conversation that he had with Jalen Hart on the Roommates podcast very shortly, but when you hear about needing like a fresh voice, fresh set of ideas, I mean, you saw that all play through. I mean, I think the biggest thing just watching as that postseason unfolded is that his just like quick trigger to be like, all right, you're not feeling it. All right, out, next guy, out, next guy, out, next guy, to find whatever stuck. And look, man, you got like as a coach, you got to give Mike Brown a lot of credit because that can be very dicey. You know, you're playing. There's a lot that comes in that doesn't get discussed when you have players that have to be fully bought in and understanding how to set expectations and manage emotions. I feel like as a head coach, that's your biggest job. How do you keep all these guys bought in, locked in, while you're trying to go on this championship run and saying, look, for those guys in particular, right, like Shamet, Clarkson, Alvarado, like these guys are fighting for their next paycheck. They're fighting for a long-term deal, and that all for them is based on how many minutes am I getting, how much of an impact am I making on the biggest stage possible, so that way, like Shamet right now, who's going to get a big deal, that I can go on and get a secured bag, right? So for Mike Brown being able to do all that, I think it needs to be highlighted much more so than what they're doing right now, and saying that, his quick trigger, keeping a pulse on the team, and just reading these guys and understanding everyone's personalities to execute to that high level. Excellent work, man. Excellent work.
Excellent work indeed. Shout out to JD in the chat, Al. He says, now we got to worry about Julius and the New Jersey Nets. So JD shook, man. He's scared, man. He's always scared.
How nasty work is that if you think about it for Julius? You started what New York needed to get on that path. Then you go to Minnesota. You were just in the Western Conference Final. You lose to then the team that the Knicks beat in the finals. And they said, you know what, man? We're going to send you to Brooklyn.
Yeah. And you know what was so funny? I remember that day that the Knicks fired Tibbs. And this wasn't coincidental. The day that Tibbs news came out, I think Julius and his wife, they must have posted like them toasting on vacation, like them. As soon as the Tibbs news came out, like not our problem type of deal, and life comes at you fast, man. So
damn,
now,
they were
now
also
we
the same
Brooklyn
people.
Nets.
They were saying they were happy to be out of New York and going to Minnesota, but now you're coming back and now you're all excited.
Now you're coming right back.
Make up your minds, people. Make up your minds.
Salute to DeMario Montague, $20 super chat. Al says, salute champs. I'm still listening to CK2K play-by-play. Let's go, man. Let's go, Knicks. Salute. Shout out to Bomani. Says, congrats to all lifelong Knicks fans. We did it. Question, how much do you think the opening night tickets will go for? Will they raise the cup banner? I don't know if they'll raise the cup banner, but I could imagine the opening night tickets will be almost close to playoffs, to be honest with you. Maybe a little less. Maybe when the Knicks...
So when the Knicks were out here for that year that Boston was raising their banner, I was trying to go to that game, and Boston is typically cheaper than Madison Square Garden. I could tell you that for those tickets, the same seats I usually get, it was double the price. So I'd expect that it's going to be the same thing for Madison Square Garden.
At the very least. You're going to have to pay. I'll be there. You know what I'm saying?
You're paying for the pageantry at this point, man. That's what you're paying for.
You got to. Will N, 8664, $10 super chat says, not really a what if, but just curious, when Phil Jackson was in charge and tried to implement the triangle, why didn't it work with the Knicks? Not the right players, outdated system? I'd say not the right players. Look, you still have certain elements of the triangle being run in today's game. Mm-hmm. But I also think that it was also on Phil to number one, not try to implement a system from the sidelines, from the bleachers, which was never going to work. You're putting it on a coach. You're putting it on a coach who doesn't want to do it. Let the coach do what he wants to do, and make sure that you have a system in place that's catered to the players that you have. Mike Brown, case in point. That's complete case studies of why one didn't work and why one did. One guy reached across the aisle and made sure to adjust to make sure he's getting the most out of his plays. And the other guy said, it's my way or the highway, while he's sleeping in the bleachers. Horrendous. So, but hey, Those are the old days. Shout out to John Torre. Says, regardless if Mitch leaves or not, we still could use Nick Richards. Nick Richards has always been in consideration. Now's the time. Leon will find a way. Okay. And shout out to our guy, Russell Whiskey. Says, hit that like button. Call us up in the KFTV Discord if you want to tap in. But Al, let's get to this Leon Rose Roommates podcast, man. It's a good pod. Shout out to Leon for tapping in. And let's hear what Leon has to say here. Okay. Let me pull it up here. So to everybody in the chat. We haven't done one of these in a while, man. These reaction shows. Okay. So from the Roommates podcast with Leon Rose, the first one up here, Al, the first question that was asked was in terms of the roster fit. You know, Leon Rose really going in on how important that was when building this team. Here was Leon. Oh, let me unmute this first. Unmute. Here we go.
You know, fortunately, it all turned out the way it turned out. I mean, there's always ups and downs in decisions. You're not going to make every decision. You're not going to get right. But you know, we were all about changing the culture and getting guys that fit within, you know, the culture that we wanted, a winning culture. And you know, the guy to my left, you know, we brought him in, and he had, you know, shown what he could do in the final series when Luka went down. And, you know, I truly believe that he could come into New York. I knew New York wouldn't faze him because that's a huge piece of all the decisions you make with regard to players. You know, coming to New York, can they handle New York? Can they handle the big stage? Can they handle the moment? And, you know, I knew this guy right here could do that. And, you know, and getting him and being able to figure out the way to bring in the pieces that were going to best, you know, we had some people there already. We had to go through some trial and error, and, you know, but the best pieces that would fit with Jalen in order to try to take each step.
I like that answer, man. And when you think about the roster construction starting with Jalen, I mean, unflappable as they come. You can't shake them up. OG, Josh Hart. I thought Mikal, despite what other people thought in terms of, I thought Mikal is built for this in terms of being a winner and being able to, you know, handle those adverse situations. Josh Hart, I talked about, you know, Alvarado, even Julius. You know, I'll give Julius credit. You know, I thought when the pressure got turned up a little too much, that's when he kind of crashed out. But in the beginning, he came in with a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove to people that he could be a guy and not just an afterthought backup plan, but really could be a guy that could lead a team. He did try, but then once the pressure mounted up on him, he did kind of crash out a little bit. But overall, I thought they did do a good job, man, in bringing in high-character guys that could handle the pressure of winning in New York.
Yeah, you think about it, man. I mean, look, and Randall was a good tone setter to get the Knicks right back on track, right? You talked about it as a guy who came in here, worked with the chip on his shoulder. Obviously not going to be the guy that can take you to the mountaintop, but is a good enough guy to keep you competitive to get you to the postseason. Can he perform in the postseason has always been his thing. He had one good year with Minnesota, but whatever. But when you look at everybody else that the Knicks drafted or had brought on this team, like you think about Emmanuel quickly, R.J. Barrett. I know R.J. was
strong.
I know R.J.'s before Leon coming in and saved it with Randall, but still to have the decision that, yeah, we'll rock with these guys for a time period because we believe that they have the mentality to be with Tibbs and go on that journey to help put this team in position where not only can you go then move them for somebody like an OG, but that they're going to create this foundation that's now here in New York where, look, I don't care whoever player you bring in here, the foundation that said is that this is a hardworking team. They're gritty. They never die, never quit. And when you come in here, you already know what that is. And that's why, you know, even with all the jokes and everything aside, you got to give Tibbs and Randall their flowers for setting that foundation because even though the players that started aren't here, that culture is still stabilized, even with Mike Brown. That's the same thing when you go to like Mark Jackson, think about the Warriors.
True.
And everything that he did over there, right? Like sometimes you just need a coach and the guys to set that foundation so that can just trickle over to the next group of guys who can potentially take it to that mountaintop. And so whether it's IQ, RJ, Isaiah Hartenstein was another guy like that, man. You keep going down the list. Dante DiVincenzo when he was here, they were all Leon Rose was looking for high character guys that were capable of just performing and blocking out the noise. And that's the one thing, especially for this team, that you can say, even for the time that Leon's been here, has there ever been a team in the news, any player in the news that's like doing something silly, that's doing something ridiculous? Like, how many times we got to hear LaMelo Ball on the news for driving incidents, right?
Yeah.
Or you think about Zion down in New Orleans or anything else like that. Draymond Green is another player. Since Leon has been here, you haven't had anything like that. And so you got to give a lot of credit for them for vetting to find the right guys who can be in New York and perform in New York and go up to that next level when needed.
Yeah. You skipped over one of the guys. He came here twice.
Oh, my God.
They were so confident in him. He came here twice.
Let me guess. Did he wear the number 8?
To the championship.
Did he wear the number 18?
The road to the championship. We got to give Big Money some credit. They gave him and picked him up twice. You know, Taj did 3 tours. We got to give Big Money Burks 2 tours. 2. Shout out my guy, Big Money. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Somebody in the chat.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? I'll give him a shout out for this because that man did not want to play point guard. And Tim's like, you know
That's
what?
right.
You're going to be point guard.
That's right. But he said, you know what? I got to do what I got to do. You know? Somebody in the chat said, take a drink every time Leon says, you know. I'm running low on scotch, man. I think. If you
Leon,
listen,
you know, Rose.
You kind of realize why he doesn't speak so much, but it's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll make our way. We'll figure it out.
Hey, man, no one said he has to be eloquent. He did the job what needed to happen, man.
First,
He did. All right, so now next part is Josh Hart asking Leon to talk about the trades and which one was the toughest to make, the trades that he had made in the history of the team. Here we go.
Y'all did an amazing job of keeping those, like, there was no, like, leaks, no nothing. It was just kind of like,
yeah.
I mean, I remember the OG one. We were in Indiana, and I was talking to Dave, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if, I'm like, with the back-to-back, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can play this one, man. And then I, like, wake up, and I see the trade. I'm like, all right, well, we're down a couple of guys. I got to get out and play. But y'all did an amazing job of that. But which one was in your book?
That one, I mean, you know, that was in the works. That was something that we had talked about. But, you know, it takes both sides to keep it tight. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, you know, there's rumors, there's, you know, all kinds of things. But OG was definitely a guy that we had identified that could play a huge part on our team. And, you know, that, you know, 2 good young players at the time, you know, that we had to give up. But, you know, and behind the scenes, it was very on the low. Yeah. You know, it was basically me and their general manager, you know, handling it. And, you know, it was right around, if I'm not mistaken, between like Christmas and New Year's. It was, because it was,
beginning, I think it was like, end of December.
Yeah. And, you know, and obviously there's certain people you have to talk to when you get like within that 24-hour period. But, you know, the agents and, you know, had to, you know, do that. But, yeah, it's, to me, there's no benefit in things being out there. You know, I've always just operated like that, you know.
All right, so we know. So, but what I do respect him for that respect that he has for the players and trying to keep things on the low so that you're not impacting a player. Because just think about it. I mean, we've heard so many cases. Think about Dante. You know, Dante, he's looking for a house in New York. He's looking to get settled. They're like, oh, you're going to Minnesota. Completely uprooting wife, kid, family. How many teams did Big Money Burks play on? You know, like, I mean, there's so many stories. So I do respect Leon for carrying himself in that way. And he mentioned that coming from the athlete representation side, he understood that very well. So he tried not to impact the players as much.
Yeah, and I think that's great where you look from the aspect of, one, not letting all the cards unfold because, look, as he talked about, you still have a job that's going on as the season's progressing, right? Like, even though you're trying to improve the team, thinking about different trades, this, that, and the third, like, you're going to need these guys to stay locked in. And if they start hearing their names in trade rumors, are they going to want to perform? How do they feel? Like, this goes back to the mental of like the strain on a head coach trying to keep these guys engaged and locked in. Now, if they're starting to hear their names in trade rumors, oh man, they don't want me here. Why do I got to go out there and perform like that? It seems like it's a done deal based on what everyone else is saying. That's just how it's probably going to run through the minds. I mean, think about the rumors with Karl-Anthony Towns and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, is this going to happen? This going to happen? This, like, you could see it, man. Once the trade deadline unfolded, and that's why I keep going back to when you see him performing at his best was after the All-Star break, because the trade deadline just passed, so now he knows I'm in New York for the remainder of the season. I don't got to worry about that. I can go out there and go play my game without anything to worry about. And that weighs on guys' heads, man, because, look, as much as we like to think this is just like 2K, and you just put a player, insert player here on whatever team, and they could just, you know, run off and go get a championship, like, we're talking about people's livelihoods here. We're talking about having to uproot your family, whatever, and go to another whole city, look for a home, think about all the other things. Like, let's say you do have kids and you're in the NBA and they're young. Like, you're thinking about the school system. What do you got to send them now? Like, how do you transfer all those kids? And like, that weighs on their minds. If they're family oriented, like, that's not something that you can just overlook. So, much respect to Leon for thinking that. Much respect to Leon for thinking like that through of the process when trying to go make deals like that. I find it interesting though, like how they're saying like, this is the player that we need right here. This is the player. I wish they went a little bit more into detail. Like, how do you, like, outside of the mental, like, what were you looking for exactly in these players too, outside of the mental, why you want to go get them?
Which of the three trades was the most shocking for you? For me, was definitely the OG one. Even though their rumored interest was there, the most shocking was not IQ, because we knew there was a possibility IQ could get traded based on the fact that he wanted the new deal, and there was rumors that he wanted to play point guard there, but you have Jalen blocking him and other people as well. But putting RJ in the deal was the one that shocked me. I mean, you go back to our reaction, me, Dexter, and Macri on that New Year's Eve show. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they had put RJ in the deal, and that was the most shocking for me.
That deal was shocking at the time that it happened, and for me, it was more shocking because we lost a lot of depth at that point. And the thing that really stood out is that, okay, we just traded IQ. I know we had a plethora of guards, but I'm looking around that roster saying, who do we have to now manage that second unit? Like, who's going to do that? Because we didn't get Burks yet. It was like, all right, Grimes, like, we're demoting. Remember, there was a lot going on that season. It was Grimes got the start. Dante was coming off the bench. Then there was the switch. Grimes didn't like that he was now coming off the bench. He didn't like his reduced role. Now you have him in a situation where he wants to get off the team. You just got rid of IQ because he's looking for a bigger contract. You know, move RJ. So it's like, all right, so who's running with the second unit now? And then we saw it, man, especially when the injuries unfolded too. Where you lose Julius and everybody else like that. That was brutal for that team. Yeah. Absolutely brutal.
That one was tough indeed. What do you guys think in the chat? The OG trade, the Mikal trade, the Cat trade. What was the most shocking one for you? CB the Fanchise, Alex Trataros, KnicksFanTV, number one show for the fans by the fans. We are reacting to the Roommate Show interview with Leon Rose. And the next question, Al, Leon is asked how he blocks out the noise and carries forward with these trades when, look, some trades come with heavy criticism. Here's Leon Rose on his answer.
That's a great question. I mean, I got pretty killed about Jalen.
It can't be me.
I got killed about Jalen. I mean, and you know, now everybody thinks I'm a genius. You know, but at the time, you know, Jalen was, you know, I mean, but Josh, it just was the level. It was because what we did in order to get you. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was. What we did in order to get you clear in the space, and then, you know, at the time, you know, people thinking it was, you know, so much money that we were paying you.
So you think signing me, doing all the things to get me, you get more flack for that or more flack for Kale?
Oh, more flack for Kale.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The five draft picks, yeah, absolutely. I got a lot of flack for that.
I think it turned out pretty well.
What's that?
I think it turned out pretty well.
I think everything turned out pretty well, and right here, this is proof is in the pudding, right here, right here. But no, but I mean the Kale thing, got crushed on that one too. But you got to go, and but the thing was, the differences was, this was the first major move, and I had all the conviction in the world with regard. I've known him since he's born. I know what he's all about. I know what a winner he is. I know, that I was willing to ride with him. When we got to Kale was like the last piece that would give us the group, the whole group. We had just re-signed OG that day, and is when we got the Kale deal done that night. And so, that was like the last one, and probably why, if you want to say it was too many draft picks, it was too many draft picks. But to me, we were trying to get this, and that's, man. You took a little offense to that, huh?
No, I didn't take it.
You were a bum before you got here.
No, come on,
I didn't
man.
take offense to that. I just knew
No, you're right. It was probably more flack on the number of picks.
I was like, I know I got a lot of flack, but it went away.
That was interesting, man. We almost forget about how much flack he did get, even from within our own fan base. Remember draft night,
man.
Remember draft night? And I don't remember if that was the same infamous book. We got book night draft. I gotta go back to that. Shout out to CK. But remember that draft? We draft Ousmane Deng, and we're like, oh, here we go, another Frenchman. They flip him to OKC, get the draft picks, get the draft rights for Jalen Duren. They flip him to Detroit to get off the Kemba contract. Then they get rid of Burks and the Nerlens Wall to clear up the $30 million to get Jalen. And some people are like, yo, you're bugging. How we let Jalen Duren go?
Dude, and the other thing about that year, too, when we think about what was going on that draft night, we were trying to get Jay and Ivy.
That's right. That's right.
Remember that? Like, there was a whole talk like, oh, it's going to be the Brunson and Ivy backcourt that we're looking for here. And it's like, they're trying, like, wheeling and dealing. Next thing you know, it's just straightened out, not doing anything with that draft pick.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he did. And everyone's talking about $100 million for Jalen Brunson. What are we doing here? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, now you look back at it, and it's the greatest free agent signing possible. Like, how many? It has to be. It has to be the greatest free signing ever, because where do you get a top 5 MVP type player through free agency that then just shapeshifts your team to being a championship caliber team? Like, where does that happen?
At less than the max.
Yeah. Wait, and not only once but twice. He didn't take the max on his extension either.
At less than the max.
You know what I mean? So when you put it in that perspective, it has to be the greatest free agent signing ever in NBA history, because to get Jalen Brunson and then to see what he did 4 years later, and mind you, let's also put this in perspective, because I know there's a lot of fan bases who like try to compare like what the Knicks did and everybody else did. This isn't like Boston, who was like out there for like 9 years trying to go get it. It's like, all right, you're losing the first round, second round, finals. You keep jockeying back and forth. At what stage do you decide to lose? Brunson and this team had a consistent like trajectory every year. It's like first year he was here, second round exit. Second year he was here, second round exit. Wheels fell off. Everybody got injured. Third year, Eastern Conference Finals, you lose to that same team you lost to the year before. This year, you go to the NBA Finals and you win it. There was never like, you know how everyone says, oh, well, it's not all it's not all a steady incline for success. He did that. He led that team to do that. That's not easy to do. So like, that's what also like when you think about this free agent signing, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, man, Nico, I don't know if you can get another job out there, man. You are cooked, my man. You are cooked, my man. You not only let Jalen Brunson walk, and keep in mind, CP, keep in mind, they could have had him for like $50 million.
Yeah.
It's all he wanted. He just wanted $50 million.
That's all he wanted.
We're going to wait for you to go to the offseason and see what we can do, love. Man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to
Cuban. And then Nico trades Luka.
Shout out to Cuban. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think in terms of value and success, greatest free agent signing in the history of the sport in terms of value and success and status where he was coming in. He wasn't even an all-star then.
Nope.
So it has to be. But I just, how quickly we forget. There was a lot of criticism in terms of what they did to go get him. The Mikal thing, yes, the 5 picks, absolutely. He was ridiculed for it. He was criticized for it, rather. And because, look, he had to pay the tax. He had to pay the Nets tax. And he went all in on it. And if it didn't work, that was going to come back to be the worst move that he made easily in franchise history. But did you catch when he said that was the final piece?
I did catch when he said that, which is interesting. I mean, you also broke it down way before. You knew way ahead of time. So shout out to you, man, for knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew that cat was getting traded to the Knicks.
The Bodega deal was already in play. That is why he went in on Mikal. It was just a matter of when they were going to execute it, which was the training camp deal. They already knew they were not talking to Julius. And so that's why he said the Mikal thing was the final piece. Because Bodega, even though Bodega came afterwards, they already were dead set on getting him and getting Julius back. And they knew they weren't going to be able to keep iHeart. And so that was going to be the next one. And Mikal, that's why they went all in with the 5 picks. Mikal Bridges.
Yeah. And I think it should just let fan bases know, because like you and I know this, but like deals are being done behind the scenes. It's all depending on when they want to execute, right? Like deals can be done 2 months in advance, and next thing you know, they're not going to tell anybody until 2 months later. So that's where great job by you breaking down the whole Karl Anthony Towns trade. But also, I just want to say I find it interesting for this too. And even though we gave Julius his flowers, interesting when they talk about the trades. Like they talked about every other trade, but that one.
That's right.
Notice that they talked about every other trade, but that one is in full detail.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. CP and Alex on the ones and twos. Shout out to Sun Doggy 8 Al. He just gifted 5 more franchise channel memberships. Shout out to Sun Doggy. We definitely appreciate you. We got a $20 super chat from Noel. Hang on. I don't have my glasses. Noel Eisenberg 3224 says, sadly, Dolan, given major Wilpon vibes, have to assume Mitch is gone, given it seemed hard to pry Missy loose, Eve's Missy. Even Dadier, Kolick, 2 or 3 high-value seconds might not get it done. What about a sign and trade with Mitch and Dadier? Well, we had talked about the potential sign and trade with Keith Smith, and the reason why it gets tricky is because if you're going to bring back that salary to your books, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of trading Mitch. You know what I mean? Then you're kind of defeating the purpose of trying to save the money under the second apron.
The money's coming back out of the way.
The money's coming back, so it's a little difficult to see that. Now, could they trade Deuce? Could they trade Dadier? I think that's a possibility. I've always felt like Deuce is a candidate to be traded in the offseason, so we'll see. We shall see what happens there, man. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel like Deuce can be. It's the last year of his contract, man. I feel like they're going to try. I like Deuce too. I just don't see a world where they re-sign him and pay him more to have him on the books. Just with how the current, cap configuration is for the Knicks right now. So I just don't see it happening. And then with Dadier, they could cut him. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract. They have the right to choose that. I'm very curious to see what they do with him.
Absolutely. Okay, back to Leon Rose and the Roommates podcast. Here we go. Let me move it up a little bit. Closing the next group. Was it this one? Hang on.
By this group.
Hang on. Let me go back. I thought I had the timestamp down, but hang on.
By this group.
So was that the moment where you were like, okay, we're ready? Like we'll have as good of a shot as we ever will with this group?
Yes, I mean, but we also had the issue of losing Hartenstein, and that's what led to, the trade, which was right before the season after that. just we had a little roster imbalance, but I felt like what Mikal was bringing, was going to be an essential piece, moving forward for us to be able to do this. The two-way type of, the two-way player that he was, and but we still had to fill that centerpiece because we had lost Hartenstein.
Kale was before Cat, chronologically. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
because Cat was literally right before training
right
camp.
before training camp.
That was your wedding, yeah. That was your wedding night.
Yeah.
the pre-party.
The pre-party night, yeah. Everyone was blowing me up. You see what happened? I'm like, no, I have no idea. I'm on the phone during your little your welcome party, talking to all these dudes. Leon called me. Leon called me, and I'm just like, first thing I think about, I'm like, oh hell, I hope something ain't happening. I'm in this. But luckily not. He just told me I had to get a couple more rebounds.
Absolutely, man.
Couple more box outs.
Nah, I don't box out. I just got to go get the ball. That's it.
Yep.
When it matters, you get the rebounds.
Sometimes.
All right, let me skip forward. I think I wanted to get to the coaching switch. Here we go.
This past summer, and obviously that was tough for you, but talk about the process that goes into changing and finding a coach that fits the timeline and the process.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Tibbs is a great coach. Did so much for the organization. We were right on the doorstep, and just felt that just needed a change in voice, a change in philosophy, and that's it was a tough move, and Mike, was a guy that really fit what we were looking for. I mean, he's somebody that I've known a long time. I mean, I represented LeBron when he coached him in Cleveland. Knew him and kind of followed him through his career. Didn't know him that well, but he always was a guy that was a good guy that you could talk to and really felt good about. That was just your gut. But then you go through the process and you're looking for certain things. And we had a real, we had built out a criteria, of certain things that were very important. We do research and, we brought in, I think it was 5 candidates and, really graded them in the different areas and things like that. And, made the decision that we made.
What stuck out most about Mike's philosophy?
First of all, just as far as his openness and willingness, to, share ideas with, front office, his staff, and the inclusion of everyone. And I think you guys have probably saw that, as far as that he really was open to things, open to people's suggestions, open to ideas. I mean, I believe that's what led to, some of the changes that were made throughout the season. That it wasn't, we started out a certain way and he may have had an idea of how something was going to work and how he wanted it to work. But, he kind of evolved throughout the season, as did our team. And, I think that all went into the fact that we went to another gear in the playoffs.
I thought that was great, man. First and foremost, I think the irony of the Knicks getting the flack for not having a plan in the coaching search and then coming into Mike Brown so late into the search and he takes him to the championship, I think that's crazy. But what was the one thing we kept saying about what they wanted in a coach? Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. And Leon said it right there. Had it not been for the collaborate, not for Mike Brown collaborating with his coaches and the players, they don't have the championship. Most likely, they don't even win.
Dude, and we saw that throughout the regular season, right? Like, we saw the ups and downs, and you and I both know that this team was not meeting eye to eye at different points in the locker room throughout the regular season. And so the fact that Mike Brown, once again, was able to get all these guys to buy in and to just understand that, the common goal is to get a championship and to sacrifice whatever they're comfortable with. I mean, you could talk about whether it's not Jose Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson, just reforming his game to being this pest on defense, a guy who's crashing for offensive boards and just, not necessarily putting up threes, but just trying to get into the paint and still trying to be a facilitator. How about Karl-Anthony Towns? Karl-Anthony Towns becoming a hub in the postseason where you need it most, just to give the team a different look and have their opponents just not know how to approach that. And Cat being willing to do that. And him changing his game from not just being an offensively driven player, but to be the most well-rounded player that we've seen, man. Like, defensively, offensively, like in all facets of the game, Cat was phenomenal this postseason. Even with the fouling out and with the foul trouble at all. He still had an excellent postseason. And so how does that all happen without Mike Brown being able to collaborate with his players? And then, of course, we see him going to Chris Jeng, going to Rick Brunson, everybody else on the sideline, asking for their opinions. Look, even Josh Hart started on the bench at the beginning of the season, and he listened to his coaching staff saying, no. He's got to be back into the starting lineup. And he gets back into the starting lineup. So, look, Mike Brown deserves a lot of credit, man. And I think what's even funnier is that you mentioned how they didn't have a plan going into finding Mike Brown. They had a plan nonetheless, even though they didn't have the head coach they wanted. The plan was, we're going to do our due diligence and see if we could find the guy that needs to meet our standards. And they found the guy that met their standards. And so for all the pundits out there saying, how could you do this? How could you do that? Look, man, we get it. First time in so long you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But kudos to them saying, we know that it can get better than this, that we have a very limited time for this. We got to do something different. And for them to go all in and saying, we need a new head coach, you got to give Leon Rose and company a lot of credit for that.
Stuck with it, man. And the one thing they wanted, that was the first thing Leon said. He worked with the coaches. He worked with the staff. He worked with this person, worked with that person. Tibbs was just not giving that to them. And you remember, guys, they were getting ripped. Oh, this collaboration thing. Oh, it's so overrated. This, that, and the third. It ends up winning them a championship. And so the same people knocking the coaching search, the same Tibbs apologists, we know who they are. They quiet now. I even heard your man Isola was deleting his I Love Tibbs tweets. Shout out to Papa Left. Right? Like, the one thing they were looking for in a coach, he gave it to them, and it delivered them a championship.
Hey, speaking about Isola, he hasn't hopped in DMs yet. He was very quick to hop in DMs saying, about Tibbs, but
no,
just saying now, man.
No.
Where's the hopping in DMs and saying, you know what? Hey, man, it worked out.
It worked out. No, he'll never admit it. He's wrong. This was Leon on his under-the-radar move, his favorite under-the-radar move. Oh, let me unmute it.
For example, like what comes to mind for me is like adding a JC, right? Or like a Jose. People aren't putting that up there with the Jalen signing or the Mikal, whatever, but it came together in the right way. So what was one of those for you?
I mean, what went into getting Jose, by the way, this is Jose's agent, if you didn't know. But what went into getting Jose was, Yabusele had to give up his second year in order for us to make a deal with Chicago so we could get a player that had an expiring contract and then send that on to New Orleans in order to get him. So there was like a lot of things that went into doing that. And that was huge because we did need another ball handler. We needed another person that could put it on the floor and, and take some of the pressure off. And so that was important. JC, getting him on the contract, on a minimum contract was like, a veteran who's done as much as he has in his career, and that can get you a bucket like he can. And, that was, for us, it was what I was saying, going back to trying to fortify the depth, trying to create more depth so that we could, just in case, and also to preserve these guys. So, for the duration.
All right. Yeah, we know. Okay. So what you think, man? What do you agree with Leon? The most under the radar move, was it Jose? What do you think?
I mean, I hate to choose one because everyone had their moments, man.
True. It's true.
I really hate to choose one. I mean, I know Jose gets a lot of shine because he had the most impactful parts of Game 4 in the NBA Finals. I mean, you could talk about the playmaking that he gave to that team to alleviate Jalen from being hounded by the Spurs guards. But look, Shamet was a low-key return too for this team. I mean, look, McBride went down for most of the season. We can't forget that. And they relied heavily on Landry once he returned from his own injury to help keep this thing running. And then you see how he performs against, Philadelphia and Cleveland. So, look, the bench had their moments throughout the season. Even Clarkson, man, against Atlanta, he had his moments. I don't think there's this. I think all of them were underrated signings. And it may sound like a cop-out, but I look at the bench unit as a whole, man. Like, all three of those guys had their moments throughout the regular season and the postseason. So, is Alvarado going to get the most shine? Yes. And he will because of Game 4, like I said. But all these guys, I mean, you can go to Game 2, and we can look at how Shamet was right there with Mikal Bridges just knocking down shots against San Antonio, all right? Like, you cannot forget what everybody else has done in these postseasons. But all of them were critical, man, for this run.
Yeah, no question. I always said his trade deadline moves are almost as significant as the offseason. You go back to Derrick Rose and what D. Rose came in and helping this team win games and establish that culture. Second tour, because he owed us. The first one was crazy. He crashed out. Second tour, he came back much more mature and became a leader for this team, a captain, so to speak, for this team. I thought the Hart one was major. The Hart pickup was a major franchise-turning move at the trade deadline, especially for what they got him for and what he gave this team. The Hart trade was one of the biggest to me in franchise history in terms of those trade deadline moves, man, and helping this team win a championship. And Alvarado, as he said, the Yabusele doesn't happen without Yabusele, who's supposed to get a ring, right? I think that's why he pulled up.
Get a ring.
He pulled up to the Garden during the playoffs. Yabusele came through with his popcorn and everything. Said, "Hey, it's in my best interest to root for these guys." But,
oh my goodness!
Yeah, but I mean, what did he get out of it? I would love to know what he got out of that. He cancels the second year of his deal. That allowed Chicago to be open to trading for him. Expiring contract, you get Dalen Terry, you ship him to New Orleans. Leon didn't even know his name. He was like, that allowed us to get a guy to
Not even here for a cup of coffee.
He didn't even see. Did you know Dalen Terry has a commercial? He's got a commercial.
For what?
I forgot. It wasn't that impactful. But he's got a commercial. He's in a commercial. I just saw it the other day.
Can't be that big, man, if he's in a commercial. We don't even know what it is.
I just saw it the other day. Dalen Terry's in a commercial.
Oh, my goodness.
But
now I got to do... All right, Dalen
Yeah,
Terry.
Look it up. He's in a commercial, man. He's in a commercial, man. He's in a commercial.
What commercial is this?
Yeah, he's in it. He's in one. He's definitely in one. But yeah, the Alvarado pickup, major. This team needed ball handling. They needed the grit. They could use the grit. They could use the leadership, the energy, the jolt of energy that he brought to the Garden. And in no bigger stage than Game 4 against the Spurs, Mike Brown has the stones to put Alvarado in there. And every single play that he made in that fourth quarter comeback was on the positive side. Every single play that he made. Setting the screen for Brunson, pops out, hits the three, hits OG for the cross-court three, attacks the basket. I mean, every single move Alvarado made in that fourth quarter was tremendous for this team. I'm glad that they brought him back. Tailor-made New York story, man. So I'm, I definitely have to agree with Leon, but I agree with you. Every one of those moves he made was important, under the radar.
All of them were under the... but this is how the front office works. Right. And look, I think it's fair to also say like they've had their blunders too. Like Cam Reddish was a blunder, Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. Like this front office does not have their blemishes. But the good thing in what they were able to do is just stick to their conviction and go out there and try to execute day by day without being interfered with in how they went out with their approach, right? I think that's the biggest thing when you look at front offices across the league and you see who's being rushed to make a decision versus who's able to go through their process and get to where they need to be. And look, you've said it on the show so many times, man. It's a slow process. Like not every year is going to be, you're not going to see the instant return every single year, right? It's a slow, gradual build. You have to play it through one season at a time. Because what happens during those seasons? Players increase their value. Look, you don't get Karl-Anthony Towns without Julius being who he is and Dante DiVincenzo for having the career year that he had too with New York. You don't get OG Anunoby without RJ and Quickly showing what they could do in the Knicks uniform to go get him. Like these guys have to put their resumes together when you go sell them, saying, "Hey, look, this is what they've done so far. I think this is equivalent values to the guy I'm getting in return." So, look, the front office has done a lot of good jobs. Has done a great job, I should say, with getting guys on the fringes from Hart for being the first one and then everything else falling in afterwards. But it takes time, man. It absolutely takes time.
Absolutely, man. And last one here from the Roommate Show, Leon Rose on how he would describe this 2026 championship team. Here we go.
One word you would describe our team's culture as?
Winners. Winners. Like you guys... For me, the resilience that you guys showed through these playoffs and how many times, I mean, I know you said it like half joking, half serious, but like the fact that we didn't always get out of the gates the way we should have. But the resilience that you guys showed and the determination and the ability to figure out, how to navigate a game and come back. Just, for me, I was just so proud of you guys, like the grit and the, refusing to lose and the will to win, like, and staying together because it's so easy to come apart in those moments as a group. And that comes from leadership, and that comes from, connectivity. And, that's a lot of words I just said, but I guess you guys are winners. You're, resilient. Those are the kind of words that come to mind. What do you?
All right, man. That was Leon Rose. The New York Grit, Al. It's on display this entire postseason run, man. You talk about them getting washed in Atlanta in Game 3. And we crashed out. I crashed out that night because I was just like, this is not... I expected them to wash the Hawks. I wanted a sweep. And so, losing 2, losing 3, and now you got the questions surrounding you. What are you going to do? What is the Hawks going to pull the upset here? You lose 2 in a row. I wasn't happy, man. I was not happy that night, but New York Grit, they never looked back after that night and really just took off, man. They took off and soared.
Absolutely. And I was right there. I was pissed. Me and CK were livid with the way that they played in Game 3 against Atlanta. But hey, you need that wake-up call at times. Thankfully, this team was talented enough to bounce back and had the veteran savviness to bounce back. Because, look, there's some teams that could easily have folded in that situation. You're living high. You think you're this. You think you're that. Next thing you know, you get punched in the mouth by a young team. You don't know how to bounce back and get ready to perform at a high level. And next thing you know, you're out of the playoffs. But the Knicks were ready for that punch, and they just got the wake up call that was certainly needed. And look, it took everyone to go. It made everyone go back to that locker room and think, what do we got to do to be better, and have the uncomfortable conversations. You even talk about it throughout the regular season, CB. You say you want to see adversity. That's adversity. You got to have those tough conversations and figure it out.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And, even the Spurs series, it's like, man, how do you go down double digits every game?
Every game.
And still winning 5? Like, it's New York Grit, man. It's New York Grit. And I love the way Yeah, and their resiliency, their grit became their team identity. The will to win. We were looking for it. Who are these guys? What are they about? What are they? Who are they? Who are they? And they showed you who they were on the biggest stage. Beautiful. 2 weeks in, and they are NBA champions, man. I love it, man. Shout out to Leon Rose, the architect. The best executive in the sport. We haven't heard that enough around the league. I think what he had to do to shuffle the decks to make this a championship, a legit team, not without tanking, and without a early lottery pick spurring this thing.
Yep.
Best executive in the league, bro.
And I think that's something that needs to be talked about throughout the rest of the league because, CP, for how long did we have to hear about having to draft young players and work through the draft, and that's the only way you're going to make a championship contender team because a team that everyone loved to utilize or look at it's either the San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. You go to the Golden State Warriors where Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. You keep going down the line. Boston Celtics, Tatum, Brown, all those guys. And it's like, no, you don't got to do that. And you don't got to be a loser to go get a top draft pick, to go get the guy that's going to save you, because that doesn't always work out. And it keeps going back to, we'll get the Philadelphia 76ers, right? Trust the process. They're still trying to trust the process. And it ain't taking them nowhere. But this has to be talked about throughout the rest of the NBA where you don't have to lose. You just got to make the right moves. And you got to be willing to part with your draft picks, some players, and really go in and figure out how to work the margins. I think the Knicks are a great case study for the other teams around the league. How do you build a team without drafting a player and are able to just go, maneuver free agency and do trades? Obviously, the biggest thing, though, we talked about earlier in the show, getting your superstar player through the free agency.
Yeah.
Is not one that's easy to do. So that you talk about needing a little bit of luck, that is luck.
You need luck. You need luck. And they had it in lucky number 11. Absolutely, man. Well, great show, my guy. Great show to everybody in the chat. We had 1,000 people in here. Hey, man, if you love today's show, if you found some value in today's show, all we ask is share this with your fellow Knicks fan, man. So everybody in the chat, all 1,000 of you know a Knicks fan. And if they don't know about KnicksFanTV, let them know about it, man. Send them a text, send them an email, share this on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever you guys do your chatting, wherever you guys have a group chat. Drop the link to tonight's show to your fellow Knicks fan, man. And all we ask is that you share it, because one extra person by all of you, brought in by all of you, continues to elevate this platform. That's why we are the #1 show for the fans, by the fans. We not only have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, Al, we've crossed the 100K follower mark on Instagram.
Let's go.
And shout out to the Facebook family. It has exploded. We got 125,000 subscribers on Facebook. So we on a rocket right now. We going crazy, man. And as we said, we appreciate the support. All we ask is that you share this video tonight. Okay. Shout out Mr. Mayhem, 6786, $5 super chat, says Knicks in 5. Shout out Mr. Mayhem. Shout out to Triple C Pointer, says Knicks for the FIFA World Cup. Let's go. Shout out to my guy, Cliff Clerval. He says, salute, fellas. I'm here. Still can't believe our Knicks won a title. It's been great going for a long ride, going along for the ride with you guys, man. Looking forward to the next title. Shout out to Cliff, man. We appreciate it. $20 super chat from the Rhyme Animal, Chuck D. This just in says, the aftershocks are as big as the moment. The league is shook. I'm back from France. Hey there, Knicks fans. Salute, man. Shout out to Chuck. And Chuck, our guy Ben Lyons sent me a picture, man, that you guys took out there in France, in Cannes, in south of France out there. Public Enemy on the ones and twos on the stage, man, performing for the good people over there at Sport Beach. So it looks like everybody who was down in France, out in France, had a great time. Shout out to our friend Ben Lyons as well. And yeah, man, let me make sure I didn't miss anything else here. Okay. All right.
How do you feel, CB, that OG is a Mets fan?
Oh, man. That was another one that made its rounds. The dog, all these guys. Well, Josh and Jalen went to the Yankees. Okay, so I did like that. Josh's ancestor is Elston Howard, so I did like that. Now, the Mets thing, I wish somebody on his team, his representation would have been like, listen, man, we got to make better choices here. All right, here he is with Jose Reyes. Shout out to the dog, man. He said he wanted to throw a strike. He threw a little, it was all right. It was all right. It was a little high. It was very high. It was very high.
Hey, it got to home plate.
He got to the plate. He got to the plate.
He got to the plate. It wasn't a strike, though.
It was not a strike. It was not a strike at all. It was definitely a ball, but shout out to the dog. Living his best life and well-deserved, man. Good to see, the other side of OG. Because when he talk about putting on a show for the city, number 8, let's go. I'm going to the Garden, opening night, ring ceremony. I'm rocking a number 8. I don't even have one yet. I'm going to go get a number 8, man.
Spreewell or J.R. Smith? Oh, no, you mean OG.
OG. I'm going to get OG, man. But yeah, that's that, man. Great show, man. Tuesday, we will have Han Solo, Alan Hahn in the building, man, joining us. And we'll do some more homework on these Knicks draft picks. I know you guys are asking me my thoughts on it. Listen, man, the kid from Vanderbilt looks like he can shoot. I'm going to be ready for overreactions come Summer League. We're going to be out there getting a chance to look at him. The kid from Germany, is he going to stay? Is he going to be a drafting stash? Look, we talked about the possibility of potentially losing Deuce. You might lose Shamet. So, bring some more of these kids in the stable. One thing we can trust, look at the Diawara pickup. I'm trusting Leon, man. Whatever Leon is doing right now, his clock has been reset, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trusting Leon. I'm trusting Walt Perrin. I'm trusting Brock Aller. Hey, whatever you guys pick up, let's get it, and let's see what these kids are made of, man. I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
Hey, and for the people who missed it, go to the draft show.
Go to the draft show.
Breaking it down, man.
Yeah.
2 nights in a row.
Yeah, that's right, man. All right, great show. As I said, we'll have Han Solo on Tuesday, early morning edition, 10 a.m. edition of Knicks Fan TV. So we see you guys then. Like, share, subscribe. Head over to KFTV Meetup to head over to Summer League and meet up with yours truly, Alex, CK2K, the rest of the family, Knicks Film School. The annual Knicks Fan Meetup will be happening in Las Vegas on Saturday, July 11th. We're going to do a live podcast with our guys at Knicks Film School. We're going to have some special guests. It's going to be great, man. 24 Oxford is the venue inside the Virgin Hotel. And once again, go to kftvmeetup.com to get your tickets, man. Bunch of Knicks fans from around the world will be there. And so we will see you guys there. All right, Al. We out of here, man. Peace.